Hello, travelers. It's Angie Rice and Janet Semenova, and we're here with our friend Rebecca from Pack for a Purpose. We love this nonprofit organization, and one of the things Boutique Travel Advisors enjoys doing is giving back not only to our local communities, but also to where our travelers travel. And Pack for a Purpose is an amazing partner. They make giving back to the communities where you travel simplified, easy, and rewarding. Really, the concept behind Rebecca's company that she founded, her nonprofit, Pack for a Purpose, was really founded on the belief that her mother instilled in her as a child, and that's showing gratitude. When you show up at somebody's doorstep for a dinner party, or you show up at someone's home for a celebration, you usually come with gifts. And it should be no different when you travel. And Rebecca has found partners around the world, from hotels that allow travelers to bring gifts that can then be distributed to those in need by packing your suitcase with just a few items. And tour operators are also available to help distribute these items to other causes in the community, where your items can be assured to be delivered to those that will appreciate them, use them, and it will be life-changing for them. And it'll make you, as the traveler, feel as if you're giving back to the places where you travel. It's such a great feeling. And Rebecca, we're so happy to have you here today. So thank you so much for joining us.
It is my absolute pleasure and delight. I've met Janet before at the Signature Travel Network show, and I've had the opportunity to converse with you. And it's really lovely to give us this opportunity to make even more travelers and travel advisors aware of how the trip they take can go much farther than the miles they travel.
I love the whole concept of Pack for a Purpose, Rebecca. And I feel like, I mean, from the first time I talked to you, like, you're just an incredibly special person. And, you know, traveling for me has always been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. I feel like travel brings us closer together. It creates connections, it's educational, it's inspirational, it's aspirational. Whenever I travel, I want to connect with the local people in meaningful ways. And one of the things that I've always struggled with traveling, and even from my childhood, because I grew up, you know, I was born in the former Soviet Union. And so we are immigrants. And you know, one of the things that has always stuck with me was the generosity that people provided when we moved to the United States, and the number of incredible human beings that helped support our family, you know, and our path to citizenship. And so I feel extremely blessed to be able to live in the United States and to be able to have gone to school here, and, you know, to be able to have these amazing, you know, careers that I've had throughout my life. But I'm also very, very aware of the privilege of travel and the privilege of our passports. You know, and I think now, this past year, obviously with COVID, we've all experienced what it's like to not be able to travel. And I think all of us are going to appreciate travel even more than ever before. But one of the things that I love about what you do is that we can give back while we're traveling, so that the experience is not just about us and what we get, but also about what we give.
Well, that was definitely one of the reasons I founded Pack for a Purpose. I guess it's not the best word, but I think it's really important in life to be able to express gratitude. I think it's a universal feeling. Everyone's aware of it, even though it expresses itself differently in different cultures. And we even have an article on our website called the 4G Network, about gratitude and graciousness, etc. Because we're not 5G yet, but we're definitely 4G. And what I love about this is that everybody can participate, because, as you said, Angie, it is simple and easy. And why not do something that's simple and easy? And if what you wish to do is take the supplies and then go out snorkeling for the day, that's great. This is your vacation. You may have saved your whole lifetime to go on a wonderful vacation, which of course y'all have curated to make sure it's everything your clients want. So this isn't about necessarily assisting with the project. You might not be able to, It's about expressing gratitude in a way that's useful to the host community and meaningful to you.
Rebecca, and I love that not only is it easy, it's also a way, there's really no excuse not to participate in some sort of way of giving back to where you travel through Pack for a Purpose, because the list of items that are needed, some of these items cost $2, $3, and $4, $5. So this is really an opportunity where kids traveling with parents could even utilize their own savings to really contribute and to provide a gift to where they travel. And what I also like is that we do have some of our preferred suppliers as part of our Facebook group. So I think it's important that they listen as well, because although this is a worldwide event, as far as, you know, showing gratitude and the fact that Pack for a Purpose, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have you're in over 100 different outlets or maybe even locations.
We're in over 60 countries, and we have over 450 participants supporting over 400 projects. So sometimes in the community, different participants will support the same project, which is fine because people stay different places and the project can still use the supplies. And we hope to grow this as we continue on our journey so that it gets bigger and bigger until every single destination that supports a community project can be on our website so travelers can easily find out what is actually needed, no guesswork involved, and then take it on their journey and make their mother happy. I thought of renaming it the Make Your Mama Happy Network, because I'm sure all your mothers would be happy to see that as adults and see that you're teaching your children how to express gratitude. There's definitely not enough of that in the world. I don't think there could ever be too much of that in the world. And children do what they see mirrored. So we've had so many children, as you can see on our website under stories, who do this and who get involved. And we also believe if you pack for a purpose once, you'll pack for a purpose at every opportunity. And children get their schools involved. You can have your neighbors involved. Maybe your neighbors can't travel, but they want to contribute. So sometimes many other people can give you the supplies you need. And it's just your opportunity to pack them appropriately and take them to the destination.
For sure. And when I was in Costa Rica recently, in fact, I just arrived home this morning, so a little jet lag, but I spoke with several hotels that were not yet participants. And when they learned about what Pack for a Purpose was all about, they were openly supportive and wanting to learn more. So for those of you that are on the hotel travel industry side, know that we're looking for partners around the world for outlets so that more travelers can participate in Pack for a Purpose. And I also think that this is an opportunity, like you said, Rebecca, you know, you as the traveler can really generate noise in your community and get others, you know, to donate, as well as corporations that are traveling. You know, we do some corporate retreats. This is a great opportunity for employees and corporations to really participate in a great opportunity to gain some knowledge in how they can support others where they travel for work retreats and for incentive travel as well. Rebecca?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because sometimes there's a full docket of, I don't know, how do I want to say this? Activities, that's the word. Activities when you go on these corporate retreats. But the only thing you have to do with Pack for a Purpose is deliver the supplies, take a wonderful photo of them being donated to the community, and then you can continue with all the activities you already have planned. So it makes it very, very easy. And we have had 3 or 4 instances where very large businesses and smaller businesses chose to do this. And it was so, once again, rewarding for everybody. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And you look fabulous for someone jet lagged. I mean, your eyes are actually open. My husband has to tell me all the time, open your eyes, Rebecca, open your eyes, Rebecca. So I salute you.
You're so
And
sweet.
I loved our experience with Pack for a Purpose when we did it in Peru. I mean, it was so meaningful, and we dropped off the supplies at a location, and we had a group. I think there was 12 of us, and we all packed for a purpose. All of us brought a separate suitcase, and we were doing the Inca Trail. So it's not like we could have brought all this luggage with us on the Inca Trail anyway. And you know, you have extra space. The airlines were allowing us 2 bags each, I believe, and you know, we packed them up and we delivered them, and it just adds an extra layer of appreciation to the travel experience. And of course, it teaches, you know, your kids and future generations that life is more meaningful when you give back. Travel is more meaningful when you give back. You know, giving, it feels so good to give, and I think we get so much enjoyment and fulfillment from knowing that we've done a little bit, our small little part, to make this world a slightly better place. And if we can do that everywhere that we go, I just think the world is going to continue to get better and better. I mean, that is my optimistic side. That is one of the reasons I love to travel, and I love the philanthropy component of travel. And some of my most meaningful travel experiences have been the philanthropic kind. And so I think that the more people get to experience it for themselves, the more they're going to want to experience it over and over again.
And for your preferred partners, if you win, I'm going to be positive, when you go to www.packforapurpose.org, at the top, you'll see a drop down on how to participate. And one of those drop downs is for travel advisors and how to sign up as an accommodation or tour company. So if you click on that, every single step is on there. We've tried to make this very easy for accommodation tour companies because time is money. Absolutely. And we want you to spend your time helping out those community projects, making sure your guests are well cared for. So hopefully this is a very easy, we even have a Prezi walking you through it, process. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me, but hopefully you can find everything you need on how to do it on the Pack for a Purpose website.
And I think you have a little presentation for us to make this even more easy to follow so that people can really understand what it is and what you do and why they need to jump on board.
I do, and thanks to my interns, it looks pretty good.
So. Rebecca, I'm going to pull up the presentation, and then after the presentation, I want to have a fun announcement where we can really talk about how Arizona and how boutique travel advisors can really play a role in creating an outlet for Pack for a Purpose here in the United States, in Arizona. So
that will be fabulous.
Awesome. Well, we'll pull up the presentation.
Okie dokie. Janet, slide number 2. Pack for a Purpose, abbreviated PFAP, is a website that provides travelers with community-curated lists of supplies requested by over 450 projects in more than 60 countries around the world. Our mission is to positively impact communities around the world by assisting travelers who want to make meaningful contributions to the destinations that they visit. Okay. Next slide. When I founded PFAP, I believed that text was only found in a book, that blackberries belonged in a cobbler, and I would only spread sheets on a bed. Clearly, I needed help. In the last 10 years, the amazing and talented volunteers who worked on our website have donated more than 33,200 hours of their time to grow Pack for a Purpose and maintain our commitment as an effective website. We believe you can always be betterer. My mother believed that when you receive someone's hospitality, it is gracious to express your gratitude with a gift. It is important that the gift be useful to the host. That was my inspiration, as was already mentioned, for founding Pack for a Purpose. Everything starts with community. The idea was to make sure travelers would bring meaningful donations that had been requested by community projects in our network, instead of guessing what a community would need. Pack for a Purpose posts a list of supplies requested by community projects sent to us by our participating companies. The lists are updated as needed. Urgent requests are marked in red with an asterisk and are changed when we are informed to do so. If participants want to provide a buy local option for travelers, that information is placed on their page. If participating companies have their own foundations, and several of our participants have foundations, the money that is saved when travelers take requested supplies can be repurposed for items that do not fit in a traveler's luggage, let's say a toilet block or a salary for a teacher. We require all of our participating companies to report back to us 3 times a year to confirm the weight of the supplies they receive during that time period. This is how we track our success. It's the metric that we use. Under our How to Participate dropdown, we also have instructions for travelers. For in-depth information, these include our core values, a detailed How to Pack page, which promotes best practices, and our FAQ. We closely monitor social media to keep track of when our participating companies post stories about receiving supplies. Pack for a Purpose publishes stories from travelers and communities about the program's positive impacts. Expressing gratitude to people for their hospitality is universal. We have been successful because everyone can participate. Travelers have come from 6 continents and include both children and adults. Participating is simple and easy. The next slides that you're going to see are comments from those communities to express how they've been benefited from travelers' generosity.
I'm just reading this as well, Rebecca, and it's just so inspirational for me. And I'm just reading on a donated, so this is a school, it looks like, that's run almost entirely on donated Pack for a Purpose items. So literally, travelers are supporting the education of an entire village, of the children in this village. That's so powerful. You can't really overstate how meaningful this really is and what that does for this community in Morocco. It's incredible. And I'm just so inspired by what you're doing and how every single one of us, by doing small little things, can make such a huge difference.
One of my favorite expressions or sayings or key messages is that a stethoscope weighs less than a kilo, but it can actually touch 10,000 hearts. And you can inspire your doctor to just give you one. So, we have found that when we ask people to do a little, they often do much more. 2 caring Australian boys decided to make their trip to Africa more meaningful with their parents when they discovered Pack for a Purpose on the website of the safari camp they were visiting. They collected requested supplies from their family and fellow students to take to a school in Zimbabwe. Once there, the family spent time in the community and, with the guidance of the African Bush Camps Foundation, made a powerful connection. Once a traveler has brought a donation and, when possible, interacts directly with the community, the way is open for even more impactful outcomes. This resulted in the most amazing contribution so far that was inspired because a family chose to Pack for a Purpose. Once they returned to Australia, the family worked with their friends, the community, and MedEarth, an NGO in Sydney, to send back an entire shipping container filled with requested supplies. The container included materials necessary to construct 14 cattle bomas, and these are usually made out of thorn bushes in Africa, so the cattle can be put inside for the evening and lions and other predators won't attack them. And this helps negate human-wildlife conflict, obviously. MedEarth supplied medical equipment for the clinic in the Mola community. And in addition, Cody and Owen collected over 300 pairs of shoes because they noticed many people didn't have shoes when they were over there, and raised funds to cover the cost of shipping the container. Inspired by the Kruger family, MedEarth sent a second shipping container full of supplies to Zambia for the Mwanga Health Center, a project supported by the community and the African Bush Camps Foundation. The supplies arrived safely in Zimbabwe and Zambia and are now being used by the community. Graciousness and gratitude, as we've mentioned, are universal, and while expressed in different forms from culture to culture, are understood by all. Everyone can choose to be kind and to consider the needs of others. This is the belief at the core of Pact for a Purpose. After almost 11 successful years, our goals for the next decade are to increase the number of Pact for a Purpose travelers, the number of community projects on our website, and to build capacity so we can go from being an all-volunteer organization to become a truly sustainable organization. Thank you so very, very much for your time and your ears.
What again, like, I'm just so inspired. I'm watching all this. I was reading all of the comments that everyone was writing that you posted, and it's just, what a special way and what a meaningful and easy way to really take your travel to the next level. I mean, this is, as far as elevating the travel experience, nothing elevates the travel experience more than feeling like you're contributing to the community in which you're traveling, the community that's graciously hosting you, graciously accepting you with open arms, that's doing everything they can to make sure that your travel experience is memorable and wonderful. And what a great way to give back to them.
Rebecca, I would love for you to elaborate in terms of what travelers can do to really help with this movement. I mean, obviously, you know, we can go to the website and pack for different items based on the wish list and the needs, which I think is so important to recognize. Like, that is another step that makes this an easy way to provide a gift to a destination, is that the list is provided for you and it's known what charities you're supporting in these local destinations. But on top of that, you mentioned how the goals for the future is really to expand Pact for a Purpose. How do you see, I mean, obviously there's different families. You just gave an amazing example of a family that took this next level. So people who really want to give it back to where they travel, what are some suggestions that you have to really build this type of showing of gratitude to where you travel into your travel experiences?
Well, I'm going to channel my interns now and say the first thing you should do is follow us on all your appropriate social media so you can make your friends aware of that. We actually didn't have Instagram about 8 years ago. And one of my interns turned to me one day and said, Rebecca, we have all these photos. We need to be on Instagram. And I said, Andrew, what is Instagram? Which shows you how critical having interns is. But we do have Instagram now. So telling fellow travelers, letting them know about the opportunity to do this is obviously very critical. If you pack for a purpose once, you can, and you're going to other places, and you understand by going to our website what's required for a participant to become on our website, you can share that just as you did in Costa Rica with the place you're going if they're already supporting a community project. And that's really important. We also want to increase, and I know you're going to speak about this, the number of participants in the United States. Of course, you don't have to pack for a purpose if you're coming to the USA. You can clearly buy the supplies, I would say most places locally. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take a gift of gratitude when you're coming to the United States to go on a wonderful vacation. Because except for maybe Monaco and Liechtenstein, I'm pretty sure there's a need everywhere. There certainly is in all of our communities. So gratitude doesn't have to be because it's not about charity, although that's an extra bonus. It's about gratitude, and gratitude is welcomed everywhere. The fact that the people and the projects are expressing gratitude for are charitable organizations, as it were, even if they're not formal charitable organizations in the community, just makes it even more positive and meaningful. You can always make a donation to us, because right now I've been running this nonprofit on my homemade chocolate mint chip cookies. True, I know computers have cookies, but they're not as good as mine, for the last 10 years. And I guess I didn't have the vision to realize how large it would grow, how much time would take up. And as I look towards 72 in July, I realized there will be a limit to how long I can keep doing this. So we will need to raise the funds to hire 2 full-time employees, which I honestly believe is all we need, still keeping interns to really expand the network. So part of everyone's most valuable resource is time. And none of us know how much we have of it. And given my skills, I have a limited capacity. Fortunately, I have interns who constantly keep teaching me new things. You're never too old to learn new things. But those are some of the ways. I hope I'm answering and addressing your question, Angie. That
yes, absolutely. And I think you raised a really good point, that the social media and the ability to outreach to a larger audience is so important. So once you participate in Pack for a Purpose, it's so important that you share that with other people. In fact, I was in Belize staying at the Ka Ana, and we had dropped off some donations, and we met another couple. I met them at dinner, and they shared with us they had done the same thing, and they were just so excited that they were to share that they had also supported Pack for a Purpose. So it's really contagious once you start participating and you find the different locations. And maybe it's a neighboring hotel, and that's what you have to remember. When we were in Peru, our hotel wasn't a drop-off, but we were giving so many items that the nonprofit actually, organized a day for us to drop off these items. So there's a lot of flexibilities. Janet and I are always a resource. Rebecca's a resource. Rebecca, you can, obviously post in our group and just keep us all informed about the what's new and growing, as I know that after this pandemic, people are not only going to want to travel, they're going to want to give back, because we know that particularly destinations that rely so heavily on tourism, even places in the United States, there needs to be this mechanism to provide this level of gratitude. And next on our list, I really do want to talk about, Janet and I have given it a lot of thought, and we recognize that in our own community, there's a lot of fortunate situations, and there's great need, particularly after this pandemic. And we would really like to collaborate and really help build a Phoenix chapter. So people traveling to Phoenix, whether it's when we get our big boom January through March every year with the golf tournament and spring training, where we can really, pick some charities to support. And those that are listening that are part of the Phoenix, Arizona community, we'd love for you to share ideas of nonprofits that you feel would be worth supporting. And certainly Rebecca will help us make those decisions. But we would love to really grow your Phoenix chapter and do our part here as a local company in Phoenix.
That would absolutely be fantastic. And we do hope that when people choose to Pack for a Purpose, if they're comfortable on social media, they will share their stories with us. If you go to our website, there's a simple way to do that. If you email us before, so we know you're packing for a purpose, then you can even write a blog if you enjoy writing. Those are a little longer. And we post those, of course, across all our social media as well, because kindness inspires kindness. There's no doubt about it. And we hope that our website will provide all those opportunities for people to do that. We never choose the projects to be supported by a community, because I'm here in North Carolina. I don't know what's best in your community. So I have no doubt if you and Janet decide these are the projects that are important for you to support in your community, that they are appropriate projects. We just try to make sure that all our projects, if it's a school, it has to be non-discriminatory. Everyone can go to the school. Everyone can attend the clinic, because our goal is to be sure that we have absolute transparency and inclusion in the projects that are being supported. Are there any questions we need to address? I want to be respectful of the time.
I do want to share that we have a listener viewer who shared with us that they recently returned from Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and they packed a large piece of luggage filled with school items, and they just felt so blessed to be able to give back to others. And so, people want to have these opportunities, and you're right, Rebecca, we don't always know what's needed most in different destination. That's why it's so important to have a resource like Pack for a Purpose, who finds the opportunities for people to partner together so that the gift can be adequately and appropriately received on the receiving side as well.
That is absolutely right. I believe nobody knows what's needed most in the community except the people who live in that community. And I might think I know because I'm 71 and oh so wise, and I've had all these life experiences, but I don't. And as community needs change, and they do, we're sending an update and we just changed their page. And like the 10 Commandments, this is on the internet. It's not written in stone. We had a really funny thing occur since you mentioned Belize. I got a frantic email from one of our participants saying, please take toothbrushes and toothpaste off our page immediately. We just received 1,000 toothbrushes. I guess a dental convention had gone there. So we took it off. And when they need those toothbrushes again, we'll just add it back. So we let our participants know it is critical that they keep us updated if they get a large contribution, or now the children have matriculated and they need different items because they're going away to college, so that we can always be providing the most current information that we're given access to. We can only know what's provided to us, but we encourage our participants constantly. It's a simple little form. I do believe in simple and easy. That's what I always prefer to do. Simple and easy, that they can fill out so we can quickly update their pages. And I've even learned how to do that myself.
Rebecca, I also really want to go back to how you and Janet met, and how Janet's husband is in the medical professional. He's an ER doc. Janet also, before launching our travel business, had a decade, if not longer, experience as a nurse practitioner. And you have a partnership with Not Just Tourists. And Janet, I think it'd be great for you to kind of collaborate on this other nonprofit organization that BTA supports, because it does work closely with Pack for a Purpose in order for both organizations to be truly more successful.
Well, I was thrilled to death when Carl reached out to me, who's the founder of Not Just Tourists in California, and they actually originally started in Canada. So there is so much waste in this country. It's really humiliating and embarrassing. Carl explained to me, when there's a perfectly sealed kit of all different kinds of surgical supplies, and inside the kit, each one of the surgical supplies is also sealed. Once they open that kit, whatever they don't use is no longer acceptable to be used in the USA, which, I'm sorry, is cashews, i.e. nuts. So what their organization wants to do is be sure these don't end up in landfills, because they're sanitized. They've never been used. So they collect these items, and then when people are going to travel, they can travel as not just a tourist by taking these supplies to clinics and hospitals across the globe. So somebody put them in touch with us. They reached out to us, and we had every one of our participants that had a clinic or a hospital reply to Carl and give him a curated list of what they would need most frequently. So if a Pack for a Purpose traveler said, well, I'm going to this place, they could go, oh, this is a suitcase we need to pack for you. So when I met Janet at the Signature Travel Network, she said, oh, my husband's an ER doctor, and he just thinks this is such a great idea, and he can't stand the waste. He just doesn't know what to do about it. I went, I have a solution for you. So I had the great joy and pleasure and honor to introduce her husband to Carl, so that he could also start a chapter in Arizona. So if you're in California, obviously you want to contact Carl because you're going to pay less for shipping. If you're in Arizona or closer to Arizona, then you want to contact that chapter. And if you live in Canada and you're listening to this, Not Just Tourists has a chapter in Canada too. Because it's for shipping, you are paying the shipping. We don't do it internationally yet because that would be prohibitive. But if you live anywhere in the US, it's not usually, don't quote me, but I understand $25 or $30 to actually ship that suitcase of supplies to where you live. And then you simply take it with you on your trip. And it has everything that's in there, so you can open it up, look and say, yes, it's in there. If customs says to you, do you know what's in this suitcase? You can say, yes, I do, and feel very comfortable that your nose won't grow. And that's how it works, just simple and easy. Janet, please add all the things that your husband has done.
John is so excited about this, not just tourists, and starting this chapter in Phoenix. And sadly, it was just really getting off the ground right when COVID hit. So of course, things shut down for the past year, and now he's restarting everything again. And so, they collect supplies at the local hospitals in Arizona. And if anybody is traveling to destinations that need those supplies, they have partners with hospitals and clinics around the world. And if you live in Phoenix, actually, we will give you the supplies to bring with. So you really are just essentially a carrier who's making a huge difference, of course. And you don't even have to do the work of obtaining the supplies. We literally hand you a suitcase that's filled with medical supplies that are so, so needed in other parts of the world. And, having a healthcare background myself, I can attest firsthand to the waste that we have in this country due to our regulations and the stringent regulations we have with how we utilize medical supplies and dispose of medical supplies. And it's heartbreaking when you see incredibly expensive medical supplies. And I am guilty of it myself. I've done it thousands of times where I've opened a kit that has 20 different things in it and items because I needed one item. And every other item in that kit that could save lives in other countries that's desperately needed is thrown in the trash. And so any way that we can get away from doing that and repurpose those supplies, we cannot repurpose them here in the US, but those supplies are desperately needed and will be greatly appreciated and used in other parts of the world. And, there's supplies that are hard to come by a lot of the times. They're, sterile kits that come from, clinics and come from pharmacies and come from places where it takes a lot of effort to put those supplies together and to package them, and throwing them in the garbage literally while they're still in their original packaging is really heartbreaking. So we wanted to do something about it, and John is super, super passionate. And so if you're in the Phoenix area and you want to help support clinics and hospitals in other parts of the world, please, please, please contact us, and he will get you a suitcase that you can bring with you.
And I also want to say, I don't care if it's a Pack for a Purpose destination. John knows hospitals and clinics in a lot more than 60 countries. If you're going to a country that's not on our website, you should still contact John, because you might be able to unofficially pack for a purpose and make a huge impact. A huge impact. So I think that's so important and such a wonderful thing. And maybe you have a friend who's a doctor and they want to think about doing this in your community, because unfortunately we're a very litigious society and we tend to sue people over the most incredible things. But other societies aren't that way, and so they can use things that we wouldn't be allowed to use here, even though it makes no sense. And waste is something I just despise. I really, really, and not because I grew up in the Depression, it just seems so unnecessary. I think we throw away 1, maybe 2 pounds of food a year in this house. If it comes into the house, it gets eaten. That's just the way it is, because that's so simple. It's atrocious how many pounds of food we waste when we have so many people in this country going hungry. Anyway, fabulous thing, Not Just Tourists. I'm excited about all the places we're going to be adding in Phoenix, projects. I have every confidence in that. And are there any other questions that y'all see being typed into you that would need my input at all?
Like you mentioned, Rebecca, you like things simple and your website is very user friendly. And at the same time, there's resources to the extent that people have questions. They can contact Pack for a Purpose via email, Facebook, or even by phone. And again, for our travelers, those that are part of our Facebook group, Janet and I are also a resource to you because we're always, there to be a bridge to really help travelers not only get to their destination, but also to make an impact both in their personal lives when they travel, because we believe that travel is about creating meaning and purpose and transformation, but at the same time, it's leaving a footprint and an impact on the places where you travel. So again, those that watch this on replay, if you have questions, put them in the comments. If there's local charities that you feel need support in Phoenix, metropolitan area, or even Arizona as a state, please let us know, because those will be some of the nonprofits that will really research to see how we can get them involved in Pack for a Purpose. So thank you again, Rebecca.
We have one question. Any tips for reducing waste while traveling, especially with kids? I think that's a great question for you, Rebecca.
That is, and when you go to our How to Pack page, we talk specifically about how you can reduce the waste of over packaging. We're the most over packaged place on the planet. You have 5 little rubber eraser tips, and they're in a piece of cardboard, which is surrounded by a piece of plastic. And so many of the places you're going to have no recycling facilities. So we give step-by-step instructions, if you will, how you can take the air out of the soccer ball and use that space, how you can take and repackage everything. Some things can't. If something has a sharp point on it, like a crayon, you don't want to repackage that. It could break. It needs to stay in the cardboard box. But we let you know all the things that you can eliminate the original packaging from. Many, many places in the world, which is a good thing, no longer allow plastic bags. So you might wish to use cloth bags. I actually used a bunch of old pillowcases. I thought, well, these are cloth and these are good, and I'll just use these to keep things together in luggage. I don't know where bubble wrap falls into that, but because that's very, very lightweight, but it's plastic again. So we do have the regulations about which countries we're aware of that no longer allow plastic bags. And I'm sure Janet and Angie, being the brilliant travel advisors that they are, can also help you with that. And anything, you can get straws that you can travel with that also act as filtration that can be used over and over again. You could bring 1 cup that your child could use so they're not constantly needing other ones that can be refilled. Many safari places give you a water bottle when you go there, actually, and you just refill it up with the water that's there. I don't know if those are useful. I hope so. I haven't done too many trips lately with younger children, being 71, but I'm sure there's so many innovative things these days and wonderful ways of recycling. And I'm sure if you Google that, see, I do know some things about technology. If you Google that, you will find a wealth of information. But I know Janet and Angie will have a lot more information to give you in that regard, because they are constantly traveling and making sure that their clients have the best travel experience ever.
I'll share an example of a way that we gave back on our hiking experience on the Inca Trail. And it really wasn't something that we knew that we would do. It kind of just came up when we realized the equipment and the attire worn by our guides. And some of them were wearing shoes that were worn, and they weren't even in the condition for walking, let alone hiking miles and miles day in and day out. And so upon our departure, we pretty much left most, if not all, of our hiking gear, our clothing, our jackets, our hiking shoes, in order to, quote unquote, give them to somebody else, but also that allowed us to recycle things. And in some cases, these were new items that we purchased for the trip, but we realized how meaningful it would be to allow the guides to have proper gear for as long as the gear would be available to them. And so that was a really unexpected but meaningful way for us to give back. And we recognize that that's something that you should consider anytime you're hiking in an area where the guides are not necessarily going to be able to afford or have access to the type of equipment that is so accessible here in the United States.
We were shocked the first time we went to Africa to find out people wanted our tennis shoes, because here nobody's wearing anybody else's used shoes unless they're some fancy schmancy $500 pair of high heels or something. But we were like, really? So every time we go, we do have Africa-itis, a pretty severe case of it. We always make sure that the shoes we're taking, we have a pair to use to go back on the plane so that we can use them. And if the person who's assisting us in camp can't use them, they absolutely know somebody who can. And so what you might think is not an appropriate gift to someone else, someone in that community would tell you otherwise. So you need to be sensitive to what's culturally appropriate, but also open to the idea that's what culturally appropriate and useful there might not be what you're used to. So I think that was a great example, Angie, and definitely something we've certainly found out at least everywhere we've gone in Africa.
We appreciated this opportunity to share Pack for a Purpose with the group, Rebecca. So thank you so much, and we'll certainly be in touch quite often, I believe.
Thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I hope everyone's travels are safe and meaningful. Bye.
Thank you.